Welcome back and Merry Christmas. Okay, and at this time, I am doing what? A labor of love, yes, for you today. I am doing the Unit 3 exam review. So let's get started. This is question number 1. Write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form just by looking at it on the graph. So you need to set yourself up for success by writing y equals blank x plus blank. So go ahead and write that. And then all you have to do, and it's for both of them, y equals blank x plus blank. Okay, and all you have to do is fill in the y-intercept and the slope. So this line crosses over the y-axis at a positive 3. This is a negative slope because it's going down. So we have to find what is the actual slope of this line. And it's hard for me to see, but here's 1 point and 1 point. We went down 1 over 1, 2, 3. I think that's down 1 over 1, 2. No, down 1 over 2. So that would be negative 1/2. It's kind of hard for me to see on the board. All right, so second one, same thing. Where does this line cross over the y-axis? Again, we're putting this in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So this crosses over at a negative 3. So you're going to put negative 3. And then this is a positive slope. So you have to find 2 points on the line. Here's 1 here and 1 here. So we went up 2 over 1. So that is our final answer, y equals 2x minus 3. Okay, so that's question number 1. Now we go to number 2. We're going to do the same thing. You have to be able to write the equation of a line just by looking at it on a graph in point-slope form. So you should write the empties, y minus, okay, same thing, just like we did with y equals mx plus b, you're going to write it in point-slope form. Rewrite point-slope form with the empties. Okay, and then all you have to do is fill in the slope and pick one of the points, right? So this is a negative slope, so everyone go ahead and put that negative symbol, okay? And we have to find 2 points on the line. Here's 1 here and 1 here. So we went down 2 over 1. So that slope is negative 2. And then you just have to pick one of these points on the line. So I'll pick this point. And the coordinates of this point is positive 1, positive 2. So we're going to put 2 here for our y value and 1 here for our x value. And you just wrote the equation of a line in point-slope form just by looking at it on the graph. Let's do it again. Second example. This is a positive slope. Find 2 points on the line. So 1 here and 1 here. So how did I get from this point to this point? I went up 2, 3 over 1, 2. So that's 3/2 for our slope. Then pick one of these points. So let's pick this one because it's positive 2, positive 1. They're both positive. So we'll put our y value here and our x value here. And you just wrote the equation of a line just by looking at it on a graph in point-slope form. Okay? That's number 2. Moving on. Number 3. Writing the equation of a line in slope-intercept form given 2 points. Okay, so automatically, just so that you can see it in the video, this is positive 7, positive 3. This is positive 5 and positive 1. So you have to write your x sub 1, y sub 1, and your x sub 2, y sub 2. And you have to write y equals blank, x plus blank. Okay, because this is slope-intercept form. And how do we find the slope given 2 points? Our slope formula, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And so you have 1 minus 3 in the numerator, and you have 5 minus 7 in the denominator. 1 minus 3 is negative 2, and 5 minus 7 is negative 2. And so that's going to simplify to a positive 1, so we put positive 1. Okay? Then we have to solve for b. We don't know what b is, so we're going to write empty equals blank empty plus b. Okay, we just said that the slope was 1, so let's put 1 there. And then we have to pick one of the points. So I always say choose the point that has the smaller numbers, so let's just choose that one. So our y value goes here and our x value goes here, and we just solve for b. So bring down your 1, nothing to do there. 1 times 5 is 5 plus b. Subtract 5 from both sides. Okay, and you get negative 4. b equals negative 4. Erase and put negative 4. And you just wrote the equation of a line in slope-intercept form from these 2 points. Okay, moving on. Question number 4. Writing the equation of a line in point-slope form from 2 points. Okay, so let's write point-slope form. Y minus equals blank times x minus. Okay, so again, this is a -2, +1, +3, +6. Write your x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Okay? Now, with my other classes that I'm not recording live in, you're going to have, you know, a couple of minutes to try this yourself, and then we're going to play this so that to make sure that you did it correctly. So again, we have to find the slope. So let's do it. Okay? So our y sub 2 is 6, our y sub 1 is 1, our x sub 2 is 3, and our x sub 1 is a -2. So we have a double negative in the denominator, so we have to circle and put the plus. So 6 minus 1 is 5, and 3 plus 2 is 5. And so our slope simplifies to what? +1. There we go, put the 1. Now, this is super easy. All you have to do is pick one of these points. So I'm going to pick the first one because it's the smaller numbers. Okay, so we're going to put our x value here. Our y value goes here, which is a +1. And our x value goes here, which is a -2, and that's a double negative. So we circle and put the plus. So our final answer is going to be x plus 2. That's the equation of our line in point-slope form, okay, given these 2 points. Okay, so step 1 is find the slope. Step 2 is pick one of the points and just plug it in. Okay, so that was number 4. Here we go. Moving on. Number 5. Writing the equation of a line from point-slope form to slope-intercept form. Okay? So basically it says solve for y. Okay? So this is a negative. Everybody make sure that you note that. That's a -3/5. Okay? Okay, so we're going to have to solve for y. Look at that, guys. That's it. Only one step, solve for y. So as you know, this is a fraction in our slope. So what do? We circle the numerator and distribute that to the right. We circle the denominator and distribute that to the left, right? And the negative goes with the numerator. It's a negative fraction, but the negative goes with the numerator, okay? So 5 times y is 5y. 5 times 1 is +5. -3 times x is a -3x, and -3 times a -5 is +5 is -15, because a negative times a positive gives you a negative. Okay? Now go ahead and circle the y because we're solving for y. Okay? So in order to get that y all by itself, okay, we have to move both 5s, this 5 and this 5, to the other side of the equal sign. So what's the opposite of a +5? -5. So we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. Bring down your 5y equals -3x minus 20. Okay, and then our last step is to divide by 5. And then y equals -3/5 x minus 4. You just took it from point-slope form and solved for slope-intercept form with one step solving for y. Okay? As I said before I started recording, if you guys feel comfortable with this, then you're going to do very well on the Unit 3 exam. Okay? Moving on, number 6. Here we go. Writing the equation of a line from standard form, okay, guys, from standard form to slope-intercept, okay? From ABC form to slope-intercept, which is what? Once again, just one step, what? Solve for y. Circle the y, do it now, okay? In order to get the y all by itself, we have to move the 3x and the -4 to the other side. Here we go. What's the opposite of a +3x? -3x. We subtract 3x from both sides, bring down your -4y. What comes first in our slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. This is what we're solving for. Our slope comes first, so our -3x goes first, then our +9. Last step, divide by -4. Divide by -4. Divide by -4. Those cancel. Y equals a negative. Don't forget the important part here of simplifying, you guys. A negative divided by a negative gives you a positive, and a positive divided by a negative gives you a negative. And there it is, okay? You took it from ABC form, standard form, okay? And you solved for Y. Yes? Moving on. Good job. Number 7. Okay, number 7. Okay, oopsie, hold on. 7, here we are. Okay, so let's go in a little bit closer. Okay, so guys, now we're going from slope-intercept to standard, okay? Okay, so what you have to identify is what is your A, what is your B, what is your C? This is B, A, C. Oh, you might not see that in the video. Let me do it with the darker color. Okay, this is your B, this is your A, this is your C. Okay, we have to put it in A, B, C form. So we need to move this A term to the other side. Circle it, do it now. Okay? How do we move this positive 2/3 x to the other side? Subtract 2/3 x. Those cancel. And what goes first? Negative 2/3 x plus y equals -1. Is this an ABC form? Yes, it is. However, what was the rule? Right? Right. The A term cannot be negative and it cannot be a fraction. How many of the rules does this violate? Both of them, okay? So how do we get rid of a negative fraction? Okay? So you have to multiply, okay? The whole thing by whatever is in the denominator. But how do you get rid of a negative? By multiplying by a negative, because a negative times a negative gives you a positive. So we have to multiply by a -3 and 1 and 2 and 3. Okay? Because a negative times a negative will give you a positive. And now 3 times 2 is 6, divided by 3 is 2. 2 what? 2x. Did we get rid of the negative? Yes. Did we get rid of the fraction? Yes. Is that what we wanted? Yes, it is. -3 times a positive y is -3y. And a negative times a negative gives you a positive, and we're done. Is this in ABC form? Yes, it is. We went from slope-intercept to standard. Okay? Very good. Fabulous. Number 8, moving on. Okay. So, guys, write the equation of a line from point slope, okay, to standard. So we have to go through slope-intercept to get to standard, okay? So, step 1, solve for y. Here we go. 1 and 2. Okay? Bring down your y minus 4 equals -2x plus 6. Have we solved for y? Nope. What's the only step we have to do to solve for y? Add 4 to both sides. Add 4, add 4. Those cancel. Bring down your y equals -2x plus 10. Now, this, guys, again, it said take it from point slope form to standard. Standard is our ABC form. Is this an ABC? No. This is your B, this is your A, this is your C. Okay, we have to move that -2 to the other side. How do we do it? By doing the opposite of what it is. What's the opposite of a -2x? Positive 2x. So we're going to add 2x to both sides. 2x plus y equals 10. Have we solved for standard form? Yes, we have. This is our A, this is our B, this is our C, and we're done. Are you with me? Good? Okay, guys, that was number 8. Okay, moving on. Okay, number 9. There it is. Okay, determine whether the graphs are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Okay, so what do we have to look here for, guys? First of all, this is very light, but that's a plus. That's a negative x. I'm just going to make it darker for the video. Okay, and that's y equals 4x minus 2. Okay, so guys, parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Parallel lines have what? The same slope. And we have to figure out if it's parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Well, what is perpendicular? Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. And the only way that you can compare them is if both of them are solved for y. Are both of these equations solved for y? No. Is the first one? Yes. This is already solved for y, so circle the slope. The slope of the first equation is 4. That's all you have to look at is the slope. Okay? Now in the second equation, you have to solve for y so that you can compare the slopes. Okay? So here we go. Circle the y. Do it now. You have to move the negative x and the 4 to the other side. So we're going to add x to both sides. Do it now. Bring down the 4y equals x. Last, is that solve for y? Not yet. Last step is what? Divide by 4. Y equals 1/4 x. Okay? Now, circle the slope. Okay? So, what's the slope of the first equation? A positive 4. What's the slope of the second equation? A positive 1/4. So, looking at these two slopes, are these lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Nope. Nope. Okay, so parallel lines have the same slope. Are these the same slope? No. Perpendicular is opposite reciprocal, meaning change the sign and flip it. This is a positive, this is a positive. So since they're both positive, guess what? They're neither. Your answer is neither for the first one. Okay? Now we're going to look at the second one. I'm going to erase this. Moving on. So the first one is neither. Guys, I know you can see it better than I can because this is brighter, but is that a negative 2x for B? Yeah. Okay, so that's a negative 2x plus 3. Okay, and is this a... Who? Oh my God! Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Sorry, let's readjust. Go back. Somebody kicked the table, but we'll keep that person anonymous. We won't tell no one. Okay? Try it again. Is that a negative 2x? Okay, thank you, Miss Diamond. And that's a plus y. Is that a plus y or subtract y? Plus. Okay. I'm looking at the anonymous person. Okay, so moving on. Circle your slope. Well, you've got one slope. We have to determine if these two lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Okay, so that's a negative 2. Can we tell what the slope of this is yet? No, because we have to solve for y. Subtract 2x from both sides. Put it in slope-intercept form, negative 2x plus 7. Now circle the slope. So now let's look at these two slopes. So are these lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Parallel, because they have the same slope. They're both negative 2. Okay? Moving on. Okay, it was Joseph, everybody. It was Joseph. Okay, moving on. Here we go. Writing the linear inequality just by looking at it on the graph. Yes. Oops, let's make it a little bit smaller. I have to try to move it this way. Okay, writing a linear inequality in slope-intercept form. Let's do it. Let's set ourselves up for success. Y open circle, blank x plus blank. And down here, Y open circle, blank x plus blank. This is just a labor of love, I tell you, what I do for my kids. Fabulous. Moving on. First of all, where does this line cross over the y-axis? -1, 2, 3, 4. That's a -4. Okay? So that's your y-intercept for the first one. -4. Okay? Are you with me? Here we go. Now, what is the slope? Now we have to fill in the slope. What's the slope? Here's 1 point here and 1 point here. How did I get from here to here? I went up 2, 3 over 2, 3. So 3 over 3 simplifies to just 1. Or if you just went up 1, here's another point right there. Just went up 1 over 1 or up 2 over 2, you're going to get the same slope when you simplify. Okay, now, is this a solid or dotted line? It's solid. So you have to put the equal to line underneath it. And then the shading is happening above the line. I know it's kind of difficult to see in the video, but the shading is happening up here above the line. So since the shading is above the line, would we say greater than or less than? We would say greater than. So that is your linear inequality in slope-intercept form. Okay, now let's look at this one. Where does this line cross over the y-axis? At a -1, 2, 3, -3. So our y-intercept is -3, okay? Now, what is the slope of this line? Well, here's 1 here and 1 here. Again, up 1 over 1, so that's a +1. That's a positive slope. And then you may not be able to see it in the video, but the shading is happening below the line here. So, and by the way, that's a dotted line. I'm not sure if you're able to see that in the video, but it's a dotted line. So that means that there's no equal to line underneath it, and the shading is happening below the line, which means less than, okay? So that was number 10, okay? Number 10 of our Unit 3 exam review, okay? Moving on, let's move on to number 11. Here we go. Graph. Telling you to graph it now, okay? Turn it off. Okay. Graphing. Okay, so 2 steps. You have to plot the y-intercept and then do your rise over run. The y-intercept is a -2. Here we go. Plot it. -2. And then that's a positive slope. So the rise is going to go up 1 over 4. So here we go. Up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Put the dot. Up 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. Put the dot. Grab your straight edge and draw your line. There you go. Okay. So you just graphed the equation of a line from slope-intercept form. Moving on. Fabulous. Okay, number 12. Graph the equation of a line from point slope form. Okay, that's y minus 1 equals -3 times x plus 2. So -3 is the slope, -1, +2. Okay, I'm just going to make it darker for the video. Okay, so this is a little bit different because you have to pull out the point from this equation. Okay, this is definitely going to be on your semester exam, and it's definitely going to be on the SAT, PSET, ACT, and your semester exam and my unit exam. So we have to pull out the point, your x and y value, okay? So this is a plus symbol here. So what was the original value of this x value? A -2, because there had to be a double negative that made this a plus. Let's not forget that. So our x value is -2, so put -2. And then what is our y value? It's a +1 because that is still negative. So we put 1. So now what do? Plot it. Where's -2, +1? Here we go. -2, +1. Put the point. From that point, we do our slope. What is our slope? -3. So from that point, we do down 2, 3 over 1. Down 2, 3 over 1. Okay, there we go. Grab the straight edge. Grab it, your student ID or whatever you have. and draw the line. And there you go. And you just graph it. Okay? Guys, that was number 12 of the Unit 3 exam review. Moving on. Moving on. Here we go. Okay, and flip. Let's flip to number 13. And there we go. Find the x and y intercepts of the line from standard form. The x and y intercepts, okay? So remember, when we're finding the x and y intercepts, okay, we have to make the opposite equal to 0, okay? So draw your squiggly. Okay? So on the left side, we're going to solve for the x-intercept, which means we have to make the opposite equal to 0. And then on the right, we're going to solve for the y-intercept, which means we need to make the opposite equal to 0, okay? So on this side, we make the y equal to 0. So 3x minus 5 times 0 equals negative 20. And then on the right, we have to make the x equal to 0. So 3 times 0 minus 5y equals negative 20. That's a very weird y, so let me fix that. Okay, so negative 5 times 0, that just goes away. Okay, and divide by 3 on both sides. We have x equals negative 20 thirds. But that is not our x-intercept. You solved for x, but that's not the x-intercept. The x-intercept is going to be a negative 20 thirds, 0. And if you were to graph this, you'd have to turn this into a decimal so that you could put it on the coordinate plane. Okay, so now we're going to solve for the y-intercept. 3 times 0 is 0. Divide by negative 5 on both sides. Y equals a positive 4 because a negative divided by a negative gives you a positive. So we solved for y, but that is not your y-intercept. Your y-intercept is actually 0, positive 4 because your x-intercept and your y-intercept have both an x and y value. Okay, that was number 13, and moving on. Here we go, number 14. Graph the equation of a line from standard form. Find the x and y intercepts and graph. Okay, well, I'm going to have to do this fairly easily because you have to find the x and y intercepts, then graph it, okay? So, to find the x-intercept, I have to make the opposite equal to 0, okay? So I'm going to write, everybody write your x-intercept here, and then your y-intercept here. Oops, y-intercept. Okay? So for the x-intercept, we make the opposite equal to 0. So divide by 5 on both sides, x equals 4. So that would be positive 4, 0. Okay? Now, to find the y-intercept, we have to make the opposite equal to 0. So we're going to make 5, that's 5 times 0, right? So 5 times 0, that's 0. It goes away. So divide by 4 on both sides, y equals 5. So our y-intercept is 0, positive 5. Are you all with me? Now all you have to do is plot the 2 points and graph it. Here we go. Do a positive 4, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, put the dot. You plotted the x-intercept. Now plot the y-intercept to a 0, positive 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plot it. Okay? Grab the straight edge, and now you graph your line. It's a negative slope. Okay? That is number 14, and moving on. Here we go. 15. Okay. Oh, good one. Write the equation of a line that is parallel to the line, okay, and point given in slope-intercept form. So let's write y equals blank x plus blank. Okay, we have to write the equation of a line right here. in slope-intercept form that is parallel to this one. Well, what did we just say about parallel lines? Parallel lines have what? The same slope. Fabulous, my diamond. Okay, so we're going to put the slope. What is the slope of this equation? 3. What is the slope that goes here? 3. Okay, because parallel lines have the same slope. So just take that slope and put it over there. Halfway done. Now all we have to do is what? Solve for b. So here we go. Empty equals blank empty plus b. And use the 3. Use our slope. Okay. Ooh, I'm using green and red. Very Christmassy. Okay, and we have to use the point that they gave us. We have to use +1, +3. Okay? So the y value goes here and the x value goes here. So now all we have to do is solve for b. Okay? So 3 equals 3 plus b. Subtract 3 from both sides. B equals 0. Well, there you go. Put +0. Done. Obviously, plus nothing means just nothing. So if you were to rewrite it, you just write y equals 3x. Okay? That was 15. Moving on. Okay? 16. Here we go. Okay, same thing. Write the equation of a line that is perpendicular. Okay, hold on. Okay, so this is y equals, is that a positive? It's +1/2, right? Yeah. +1 or -1? -1. Oops, that looks like 11. -1. Okay, and it has to pass through this point, which is -2, +3. Okay. All right, so let's do it. Y equals blank x plus blank. Perpendicular, guys. Here we go. Circle it. Do it now. Perpendicular. Okay? We have to write the equation of a line that is perpendicular to this one. So what do we know about perpendicular? What is their slope? Their slopes are opposite reciprocals of each other. So guys, what is the opposite reciprocal of a +1/2? -2. Okay? Opposite reciprocal. So opposite means positive or negative, and reciprocal means you have to flip it. Okay? Now all you have to do is solve for b. Okay? Empty equals -2 empty plus b. So we have to use the point that they gave us. Okay? This is our x value and this is our y value. So our y value goes here and our x value goes here, -2. Are you with me? Okay? Now we just solve for b. Bring down the 3. Negative times a negative gives you a +4. Subtract 4 from both sides, and b equals -1. Where does that go? Right here, you guys. -1, and you're done. You just wrote the equation of a line that is perpendicular to this one that passes through this point. Okay? That was number 16. Okay? Moving on. Number 17. Here we go.